This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone, and welcome to day one. So this will be not like a demo session, like it will be an actual session only. So we are starting off with the course. Today's agenda mainly will be, as I said, so the sessions where which is open to all. I'll be picking up various topics and will be going over it. And whatever topics we are little going running over it, we will be coming again to cover it just to go in depth into those topics. Okay, so today's topic, as I said, today's agenda will be to go through the JMeter. Like we will have JMeter, we'll understand what are the capabilities of JMeter, what are the use cases, right? Like load testing, performance testing, stress testing, where all we can use JMeter for. Sorry, my throat is little bad today. Please bear with me. So yeah, and then we will see how to actually execute a test in JMeter in a high level way. So what is a JMeter test plan? What is a thread group? What are various JMeter elements? Very quickly, we will see all over it. And what are controllers, listeners, various elements, timers, assertions, what are they? Then we will try to see how we record or what is recording in JMeter, right? We will see that recording in action, okay? Because this recording you generally use a lot of time in JMeter, and we need to be aware about that to basically start off with JMeter, okay? And without you good at recording, you cannot proceed in any way, right? So that is very important. Then by the end, we will see like some basic tips and techniques. Like for example, what all you do to follow a proper recording. Like what are the hacks to get a proper recording, right? And how you can make your scripts more better, right? So those things we will try to see by the end. Okay. So that will be our agenda for today. So let's quickly jump into that. I hope my screen is visible to all, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So before I deep dive into JMeter, okay, let's come back to performance testing a bit. Okay. So how many types of performance testing you know? Please call out. Come on.
Stress,
Volume
load,
testing, spike
Yeah.
testing, stress
Stress,
testing,
spike,
load,
load,
Load test.
load. Yeah. Anything
What
else?
is
benchmark.
base?
Baseline
Volume,
testing.
endu- endurance testing,
endurance. That is very important. Okay. So these five are very important. We have many more also as per various scenarios, but this five is as per a performance tester is concerned. These five types of tests are very important, and in that also volume test is not very common. It comes only in specific scenarios where I will explain you that. Let's see now these tests in little like let's try to understand okay what these are in a very quick way. We will come back to all this. We will see some case studies. We will see some scenarios where we need to apply these things. Okay, but to quickly go through this for those who are new to these things. Okay, stress, load, spike, and endurance. Okay, see all these four have different objectives. Okay, that's why we call them as various test names, right? Load test. Now, when we speak about load test is mainly done to understand how my system behaves under load. I will use the word under specified load. Okay. Now, when I say this line speaks a lot because if you see, when I say system under specified load, so I know how much the load will be, like whether users or 200 users or 300 users or whether it will be 500 users. So I already know, and I know, okay, for this much user my SLA will be this. So what is an SLA, right? What's an SLA?
Service level
Service
service
agreement.
level
level
agreement.
agreement,
Service level agreement, right? Like let's say my customer is like let's say Pizza Hut. Okay, now Pizza Hut application is there, right? Like and Pizza Hut says, okay, we have around we get around 1,000 orders per hour. Okay, so in per hour 1,000 pizzas are ordered. Okay, now when this 1,000 orders per hour is happening, right, in that per hour, let's convert it to like, let's say per second, right? So it will be around 1000 by 3600 per second, right? So we can say maybe just to make it easier, I will do 3600 orders per hour. Okay, so it will become like one order per second. Okay, so every order, actually every 1 second, one order is going. Okay, so that's my basically the load, I can say. Okay, or we will see this. We call it throughput. We will see all this in detail when we go to the further sessions. When with as we go ahead without time constraints, right? So yeah, for now there are one order per second. And what Pizza Hut says to me is, I asked the question to Pizza Hut. Okay, so that's fine, one order per second, but what is your SLA, or the what is your expectation for how much time this one order per second should pass? Because if you remember yesterday, when I ran with one user, my response time was around 7 milliseconds. Okay, when I ran it with 10 user, it went to 42 milliseconds. So are you able to understand that as I increase the user, response time is increasing? Clear, all of you, regarding that?
Yes.
Right? So
Yes,
as my
yes.
users increase, my response time will increase, right? So I have to question Pizza Hut that, okay, what's the expectation? Like, is it 1 second, 2 second, 10 second? What is that expectation when you want to achieve this, right? So they will give me, okay, it's 5 seconds. Okay, so this is my SLA. 5 second response time at one order per second is my SLA. So now when I collect the data, this is very important. When I say SLA, is it enough to get only the time of 5 seconds? Or should I collect something else also with that?
No, we'll need to understand how many orders they are planning to
Yes,
process in a time span.
exactly, right? So that's called throughput, right? We will understand this in little detail later. One order per second, which we call now, right? That is, we call it the throughput, or the transactions per second, we call it. But anyways, coming to the main point. So when we speak SLA, just speaking the response time, this is called response time, right? Is not enough. We need the throughput also. They both go in hand in hand. Okay, so this SLA is what we will test in the load test, and we will certify. Okay, for this throughput, we are achieving below 5 seconds. Now, 5 second is my SLA. In my load test, like let's say I'm getting 4 second. Okay, and let's say there is one more case where I'm getting 6 seconds. Which is pass and which is fail as per performance? What do you think? So
four
SLA is
seconds.
5. Yes, 4 second is a pass, right? Because my SLA is 5 second. I got 4 second. So it's not that I have to achieve 5 second, right? It's a time. So if I go below it, it's good only, right? As much I can go below it, that much my customer or the client will be happy. Now my question to all of you is, why the client or the customer will be happy if I go very much below 5 second? Time is obviously one thing. Their customers will be happy. Their orders are getting processed faster. But what's the second thing?
Application is
If I
fast.
go below 5 second,
Application is fast.
Better response
because
times.
exactly the application is fast, and if I, let's say I went at 4 second, okay, my one order per second was the throughput they planned. Now they can go for like, let's say 1.2 order per second, because still they have gap to reach 5 second, right? So they can increase the throughput. I meant like they have more space in that same CPU or the same amount of resources, right? Now let's say I went to 2 second, then I might go for 3 orders per second. Still my application will withstand that 5 second, that final point, right? So are you getting? So if I am able to reduce that five second, which they gave me, to 4 second, 2 second, or 1 second, using my skills, right? The performance testing skills or the analysis skills, then actually what I'm doing is I'm giving them more space to either increase their throughput or reduce their resource. Now, when I reduce the resource, right, the CPU and whatever, the server, right, what will, like, what's the benefit for the customer if they reduce the resource? So here, when I say reduce their resource, It is not performance testing resource, okay? It's the machines, right? The server on which that application is running, right? If I am able to achieve 2 seconds, that means what I can do is I can reduce the resource and take this 2 seconds to 5 seconds, because anyways that's SLA. But when they reduce their CPU or the resource, right, automatically the cost will come down, right? Are you getting all of you?
Yes,
No.
The
yes.
expense of the cloud or wherever their server is, that cost will come down.
Okay.
So that is where
Okay.
ultimately a performance tester has to reach, right? He has to give the recommendation such a way that he can reduce the cost of the customers. It's not just performance test validations that we do. We also that's our what I can say, that's our nirvana or the ultimate aim, right? For if your customer need he has to be really happy, you need to reach a state or a stage where you can reduce the cost which he's incurring due to the services or which is running on those machines or the cloud, right? Are you getting all of you? What's the ultimate? So see, whenever we say performance testing, there are two things in the definition: load and stability. So this is performance testing, yes, obviously from the definition. But what about this, right? The cost. Like, what's our main objective behind doing performance testing, which no one speaks about, is to reduce the cost, right? The reduce the cost of the infrastructure which my customer is spending. Getting all of you? So just give me a thumbs up if whatever I spoke till now you are understood. Come on.
So like
Okay, I got.
SLA is provided by the customer.
Exactly, yes. Because it's their application, right? So, see, now for example, let's say you are a customer. So there are two cases to this. Okay, I'll explain you that. Like let's say Deepak, and let me take two people, Deepak and Ankit. Okay. So now Deepak has an application, Ankit has an application, and I am the performance tester, right? So when I go to Deepak, Deepak already knows the application. He has proper set of understanding what he's expecting from the application. So he properly gives me the SLA. Okay, this much order, this is the time frame. But let's say Ankit is not that aware, or even like he's not he has not done that much research, like how much his application has to load in what time, right? So he might give me some random numbers like 6 seconds, 5 seconds, right? So in the Ankit case, I will have little more work in analyzing the market. So what I need to do is, like, let's say Ankit's application is some e-commerce application. So what I will do, I will go to Amazon or any other e-commerce applications where, let's say, ordering is happening. So I do the order and I check, okay, what's the response time they are maintaining, right? And that I will give as a benchmark to Ankit. Okay, so Ankit, so this is your competitor, and your competitor is working in this range, right? So we can also target that range. So that's a competitor analysis sort of thing. But that is when your client is not that much aware how much SLA he needs to provide. But generally, client will provide you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And I think one
And
more thing here, like most of the times we might have to let the client even know if the infra is not sufficient, infrastructure is not sufficient
Yes.
basically for
Yes.
the
Yeah.
test that they're running.
Mm, mm.
So yeah.
Yeah, but that's again a last option, because generally we never see again, like they are spending money on us, right? So we
Right, right.
again say them to increase the resources. If it's a new application, it's okay, right? Like we are
Mhm.
since they are not started it yet, or it's a new one, so you give them a capacity, right? So that's okay. But if it's a running application, and you should be very careful before saying that you need to increase the resources,
Mhm.
right? Because that's again the cost which will come to that. So you need to do everything, you need to check everything, you need to see everything wherever you can cut down the cost, like
Right,
wherever you can optimize, or wherever you can get call into the developers and try to optimize the whole system, right? You need to do that.
right.
Then only the last resort is increasing the resource. Okay. It's
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, any other questions? I got okay, so let me come back. So we were speaking about the load test. Okay. So coming back to load test. So as I said, cost reduction is our main aim. Okay. As a performance tester, always remember this
The cost
because
is
this.
always in terms of is in
Mhm.
terms of money only.
So can you elaborate your question? I think where you're going, I am understanding, but little elaborate.
Means the main aim of this load
Mhm.
testing means performance testing is to cut down the cost. It is cost reduction. So means in terms of money means we have to reduce the cost of
Yeah,
software.
yeah. So yeah, coming to that, okay. So see, now as a performance tester, if you divide your role, right, there are two things which you can do. One is the validation, right? Validation means like whatever SLA my client or the customer has given or provided me, I need to achieve that. Okay, so that is one thing. Second thing is going beyond that, right? Going beyond means like I am making my application optimized in such a way which was not before, right? I am trying to optimize it. When I say I am trying to optimize it, I don't change the code, right? I take the help from the developers. I run multiple tests. I give that inferences, observations to the developers, and development team will come back with a resolution. So that way, right? So we don't touch the code in any way, but we provide the results, the data, the monitoring, the and also we try to use the monitoring tools to find out where the issue is, right? To pinpoint the issue. Now, once you do this, you optimize your code, then comes the cost, right? So when you optimize your code, when you are able to optimize it, that's the first question, whether you'll be able to do it or not. So when you do it, right? So obviously your cost will come down. The server, how much servers, like let's say 5 or 6 CPUs or 7, 8 or 10 instances were required. So when you optimize the code, it came down to 5, right? So you are cutting down, you have brought down the cost to 50% what they were paying to the cloud. Okay, so when I say cost, let me come little backwards. Okay, do you think AWS will give me some anything free, or I will have to pay AWS for everything, whatever I
No,
take service from them?
I think it's
Okay,
payable.
let's take
Or
in this
You
way.
have to pay.
Uh, let's say my application is there. Okay, let's say this Chrome is there. Okay, in my machine, in my local machine, my this Chrome is there. Now this Chrome is running using which resources? Like where is the CPU RAM coming for this Chrome?
from our system, obviously.
From our system, right? Similarly, let's say Amazon.com, right? Amazon is running, right? When you open Amazon.com, you're able to access. Do you think Amazon.com is running just in air, or it is also running in a system like my laptop?
It has its own box. I mean, boxes, different boxes,
Yes.
multiple sets.
Yeah, it has multiple CPUs, right? On which it is running, right?
Right.
All of those CPUs are powering that Amazon.com for that millions of users who are using that, right? Now these hundreds of CPUs, if I can bring down that hundreds of CPU to 50 CPU, now how can I do that? By optimizing my, like let's say this
Configuration.
Chrome and Notepad++. Which do you think will take more resource? What do you think?
It
In
would
my
be more likely
machine,
Chrome
Chrome
only,
is there.
not Notepad++. Chrome.
Notepad. So Chrome will actually take more resource, right? So
Right.
Notepad++ is a very light application. So same way, even our application, whatever, let's say Amazon or whatever application my customer application is, right? I can make it lightweight as much as I can. Obviously, we cannot go beyond a point. I cannot make Chrome Notepad++, right? There is a limit. But see, even that limit wouldn't have been achieved by the developers because their focus is only on development, right? They won't be worried about the resources, optimization, those things. No, that is our duty. Getting all of you. So our aim is to make Google Chrome Notepad++. How much we can, how much as like I mean like as per the resource utilization is concerned, not the functionality and all. Okay, I'm saying when we compare, so we have to make our application as light as possible so that it uses as less resource as possible. Okay, and when that happens, obviously the CPUs required will come down, and ultimately the cost of the customer will come down. Clear all of you? Any doubts in this chain anywhere? Just call out any doubts in any of this
Can you please
what I call
can
what
you
I
please
said.
pardon?
Sumit, yeah, which point you missed, Sumit?
Yeah, this chain.
Okay, okay. So let me draw it down to you. Okay. So see, for example, now let's say my application I have. Okay. So application I'm just using for that so that you can easily correlate things. Okay. Its weight is 70 kgs. Now your work is to bring down that 70 kg weight to like let's say 50 kg by removing all the junk. So your work is not removing the junk. Your work is identifying the providing whatever you can to identify the junk, right? Using my performance test. Now this junk is not functional, only performance means like only non-functional, right? Which is basically the response time. That's what we and the throughput. These are the two important things as a performance tester concerned. This is the two junk, if it is a junk, which we improve. Okay, so like make your application lightweight. That means like let's say if you have an application which loads 7 seconds, load it in 5 seconds or make it 4 seconds. So you are making it lightweight. Okay, when this happens, now this application is running on a CPU. Okay, let's say before it was running on 5 CPUs. Now when you make it light, like when it was 7 seconds, CPU. When you make it 4 seconds, you can even run that application on 3 CPUs. You don't need this two because obviously you have a lot of room to reach 7 seconds. No, are you getting all of you? How that CPU reduction can now this when the CPU is reducing, cost will come down because initially I was paying for 5 CPUs. Now I'm paying only for 3 CPUs. Sumit, getting
Yeah.
right? So nothing, no need to worry. Okay, so this is like as I said, cost reduction is a very end point. It's not achievable that easily. Okay, so that will come with lot of experience and a lot of work, but that's ultimately our aim. Now coming to the main thing. So as when we are a performance tester, when we are doing performance testing, there are two things, that is load and stability, which we are very much interested in, right? And throughput and response time are the metrics for that. For the load, it is throughput, stability, response time, right? So we will see that what it is. Anyways, coming to load test. So when you apply a specific load like 500 users or 300 users or 400 users and you test, okay, whether for 400 users this much response time is coming or not. Okay, so that type of test is called load. Okay, now what is a stress test? So stress test is you keep increasing the load. So what you do is you keep increasing the user, 1 user, 10 user, 20 user, 100 user, you keep increasing and you see at what point my application dies. Okay, simple. In simple words, I'm saying. Okay, so that point when that your application dies, or see, sometimes your whole application will not. Okay, it will be lot of errors, like 20% errors you will get, like lot of errors, like lot of internal server error messages will come. Okay, so that time we say basically my application is dead. Okay, dead means not fully dead, 20% fully errors only, right? So that's not a good sign of an application because like let's say out of 10 orders, 2 orders are failing, right? So that's not a good application, right? So that's a failure. And I note down the response time, what I was observing at that point. So this test is called stress test. Now, why do you think we are doing this stress test? Anyone?
To check the breakpoint of
So
the
I,
application.
Exactly, to check the breakpoint. Now, what is the difference between load test and stress test then? That's my main question.
Uh, Load testing
on load
basically is to
test,
find out
we
the exact response time of your application. If 1,000 users come into your site,
Exactly.
then
Okay,
what's
so
the response time?
for exa- For
right.
example,
So I have
load test is
500
a general
users.
load of the user,
Hmm.
general users load on an application basically. Stress test
Exactly.
is
Okay, so
definitely
this is
necessary
like
for
a generally.
kind of big days, big Amazon, I mean Amazon, where multiple number of users, you never know how many users will log into the application during, for example, Flipkart big billion days,
Hmm,
etc.
hmm,
Right? So at that particular point
yeah.
of time, the system should not break.
Okay, pretty near. Okay, so see what happens is now in load test We already are testing with a
In
specific number, right? We have a target, 500 and 5 seconds. But in stress test, we don't have a target at all. We keep adding user, we note down the response time. Keep adding, note down the response time. So this happens till the system breaks, right? So this is for finding. So see, 500 users in my system can manage with 5 seconds. But I want to see what will happen if some 5,000 users or 10,000 users come into my website due to some reason, maybe on that day, right? Will my system be at least able to serve them? Though it will not satisfy this 5 seconds, it might go to 50 seconds. That is fine. But still, will my application be able to serve them or not? So that's the objective of stress test. Clear, all of you?
Like how much error percentage
Mhm.
are okay in load testing
10
on like
percentage.
performance?
So 10% for
10
stress test, 1% for
okay.
load test.
10% for
Stress test. So when you do stress test, if your system is going beyond 10%, that's your breakpoint.
okay.
Okay. Now, next thing. Okay. So see here there is one catch. Okay. Whatever users we are adding gradually, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. We are keeping on adding users. But let's say if there is a scenario where like let's say my user is 10 users. Okay. Then suddenly it becomes 1,000 users,
Spike
and
testing.
suddenly it becomes come back to 10. Now, will such a scenario happen anytime in
Yes.
my
Yes.
application?
Yes.
Yes.
When will
Spike
this happen?
test.
Spike test.
spike
Spike.
test.
Like what type of, like let's say Amazon flash sale. Will this happen during flash sale?
Yes.
Yes, it will
Yes.
happen.
There
Like
are chances.
for
Yes.
that specific 5 minute or 1 minute, suddenly the user will be like maybe 10, 20 or 100 times, right? Then suddenly it will come back to normal, maybe in 1 minute or 2 minute time. So to test this, we have spike test. And generally the spike test load. Now see, 500 users load we have tested, right? For the load test. Now, who will give you the SLA for spike test?
Client.
How much users I need to put? So generally, the rule of thumb is it should be 20, like 40 percentage of your load test. Now, this is like a general rule of thumb we follow. But obviously, when you are working with your customer, you have to take their approval also. Okay, before you can. If they say 60 percentage, okay, we need to go with that. But 40 percentage is what we generally follow in the market. So if you are doing
So
load test with 500 users, you need to do spike test with around 200 users. If I'm correct, 40% of 500.
Like while
Clear, all of you?
while running this spike testing, so
Mhm.
on the script the user will reduce and then increase. So this will done on the
Mhm.
scripting part. Automatically the
Yes,
user will
correct.
go
So
to from
we will
500.
be controlling we'll be controlling the this using our JMeter, right? JMeter script. Yes.
So if you are saying 40% of load testing, so what does
Mhm.
it mean? Like on so like
Yeah, yeah, okay. So see, now your customer has given you only one is load test, right?
Hmm.
But you need to run a spike test, right? How many users you need to add? How will you know
Okay, so
for
I'll
spike
add
test? See, these are
40% more, 40% of
no,
the
not
user.
40% more. Sorry, not
uh,
40% more. It is 40 percentage of your users of load test. That's why I said in load test, if it is 500 users, spike test, it will be 200 users.
Why reducing? It should be
Yeah, so that's
increased.
where the point is, no? See, the spike test, see, it is happening in like a fraction of time, and no application will be ready for that spike of 500 users, which is your load, which you are tested. That means generally you see this much load in your application. Okay, so that total load will not come into your application in that split second. It will never happen. Now, if it goes beyond that, it's not in our hand, right? If maybe like that mobile is of very high demand, if it goes beyond that, this is what we test it for. That's all.
So, which
Clear?
means in spike testing, just we are increasing the load and decreasing the load during the test, right?
Correct. Yes, exactly. So we will start the test initially with some number of users, like 10 or whatever, small number of users. Then we will go to whatever number we need to reach, like 200 or whatever. And then after a minute, we will come down. And this will happen in quickly without any ramp down or ramp up. So I will explain you what is ramp up, ramp down, or how do you set this up, like, or how you set it up in JMeter. All those things we will have to see, right? It's coming slowly. So all this is done using JMeter. Okay.
Okay, one question,
Any
like how
doubts?
the developer will identify if the system breaks at one point. So with the logs, with the JMeter logs, how they will identify what to fix in the code, how to improve the
Yeah.
performance.
So see, now when you use a monitoring tool, let's say if you have a profiling tool like AppDynamics, it will give you the transaction level details also, like which transaction failed at what point. Okay. And the other thing is, see, generally, more than the code, it will be your infrastructure which will create the problem, right? So at
Okay,
some point of time, your code will shoot like anything because it is using lot of CPU, maybe due to not proper processing, or not due to proper RAM usage, due to junk memory getting added, right? Or like maybe in the code they are using some objects which are being created unnecessarily, right? So multiple reasons. So that is their headache, not
correct.
our headache, right? To find out. But as a performance tester, I need to provide all the details from the monitoring tool, what I'm seeing, the errors and all, error messages I got, whether it's 500, 504, whatever the messages I get, right? Because each message will have a significance. Now,
Correct.
what are these messages? What is this thing? And we will see. Okay, we are too early for those questions.
So like for
Yeah, I have a
spike
doubt actually.
testing, do we
Yeah.
have any specific percentage of error acceptable on the spike testing?
Yes. Yeah. So see, for generally for any test, it is 1%. Okay. Or
Okay,
stress test, it
okay,
is 10%.
okay, okay,
Okay.
So,
okay.
I have a question.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
regarding benchmark test, so when the client doesn't know about the application and
Hmm.
probably
Yeah.
he doesn't know the SLA actually, so we can
Hmm.
take any of competitor product and where we
Hmm.
can search the what are the SLAs are. I mean, what are
Correct.
the response
Hmm.
we can get.
Yes. Hmm.
We can take
Yeah.
and we can share these response time to the client in
Yeah.
benchmark. Can we do in such a way?
Right. Benchmark. I hope you are saying about load test, right?
No, no, I'm
Not.
talking about benchmark testing.
Yeah. So stress test is never in our hand, right? So that's what I'm saying. Stress
No,
test, we never
bench,
say.
bench, benchmark. I'm talking about benchmark.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
When
Yes.
we
So see,
have
yeah, when
when
you
we
say
don't have the
benchmark,
SLS.
yeah,
Mm,
right, right. So benchmark, when you say, that is nothing but your load test parameters.
mm. Okay,
Okay, so when I say 5 second, 1 orders per second is your load test parameters, right? From there only all other tests are built. So are you all getting that point? Any
okay.
doubts in that, right?
And no, no. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry,
Right.
I have one
So
question.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. So when you say 10% tolerance, right? So it's
Hmm.
related to the response time, for example. Like for example, we are doing stress
That's a
testing,
very
right?
good question, Priyash. Because I guess you're so too early, right? That's why you're not getting what error I am speaking about. Here, the error is the internal server error, or like timeout errors, 504 gateway timeout errors. That
Okay.
errors which you get, right, from the code or from the application. That's what I'm speaking about. Let me show you that, okay, to all of you what it is then, maybe quickly. So as I said, we are going little, I mean, like these are like due to the we have like less time, only three, maybe one more day or so, which is open to all. That's why I'm running over few things. But all these things we will be coming again in very depth, right? So that time it will be very clear. But let me show you quickly what is an error, okay? What I mean by error. So this is one basic application http bin.org where you can generate various status codes, okay? So I'll show you what is the error I meant. So see, this is one type of error, okay? Now what is this error? Anyone? What is this error?
Internal server error.
No
Yes,
server error.
generally you would have
Page
seen,
not,
right?
page
You
not
are
found.
getting internal server error when you hit some application, right? So you'll get this message, right? Internal server error. Are you seeing here?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now let's say I am testing it with 100 users, okay? Out of that 100 users, out of 100, I get 10 internal server errors. Then 10% is a failure. Getting all of you,
Yeah.
right? So that I meant by 10%. If I say 504, that's also an error. What is error 504? All of you?
Gateway error.
Gateway
Yeah.
timeout.
So generally, this gateway timeout errors will happen when you have timeouts, right? Timeouts means especially when your response time increases a lot, which will happen in stress test, right? So your timeouts will be hit, like your DB timeout or your server timeout. So when that happens, your request will timeout, and that this error is for that. Now let's say again. Now this is not a that common error. It's a 404, which generally you will not get in a test
Page not
as such.
found.
Page not found.
Yeah.
Page not found.
Generally, yes, like a page not found or bad gateway 502, right? So those things. But you will get 204. Now this is very important. 204 actually is a success, but partial response we call it. Partial response means out of 100 percentage data, I got only 50 percentage. Then in that case, I will get 204.
You mean
So
all the
it
website
is
content is not loaded, all the data is not retrieved
exactly,
from the server.
exactly. So, but this is very deceiving. Now, why this is very deceiving? As a performance tester, I need to capture this also because if you see, it's a success. It's in a green, right? Seeing all of you, it's a success. But actually, as per business, is it a success?
No.
No,
No.
right? Even in JMeter also, normally if you do, this will be a success. Okay, so JMeter will not show you any error at all. Means like it will not show you. But through some techniques, you can easily put that also into the error bracket. That we will learn. Okay, how? Now, what is a success then, right? That we need to understand. So it is, if I put 200, that's generally the success scenario where we get the 200 status code. And this code is called status code, right? So 200, okay. This is what we are looking for most of the time. So when I say error percentage is 10%, whatever is other than 200, how much percentage of request is that? That is that 10%. Clear all of you? Any doubts?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, all these status codes, there are a lot of status codes, okay, 500, 504, 503, then 200, 204, 404. All this we will see as we progress in the sessions, okay, in depth, what the significance of each of these are and how do you use JMeter to identify those, capture those when your test is running itself very easily. Okay, we will see that. Okay, so any doubts, anyone till now? Clear?
No. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Some question, someone. Please feel free, okay? We are all here to learn. There is no dumb question, there is no foolish question, there is no stupid question. It's just question. Okay? So please go ahead, ask questions. And I love actually the stupid questions, okay? Because from those questions only, maybe some big question will arise. Okay, so throw me any question. Please go ahead. Let's assume that I am the most stupidest here, okay? So you are questioning me. Just come on.
Uh, yeah, Vishnu, one more
Yeah,
thing is like,
yeah. Hmm.
when I was when I was working for the small project on that performance
Mhm.
testing, there is
Yeah.
one error I used to get it like a handshake error. Can you please explain me
Yes,
about that?
SSL
What is that
handshake.
handshake error? Ha,
Yeah,
SSL
it's an
handshake error.
yeah, it's a SSL handshake error you get generally. So that is basically your encryption failure. Okay.
Encryption failure.
So yeah.
Okay.
So your encryption couldn't happen properly. So that's why you get that error. And that is also related to actually the response time and all. Okay. And that's a very good point which you brought out. Yes, such type of errors also come, which is not actually uh, totally based on the status code, but it is the type of error, right? SSL handshake. Yes.
And those errors percentages also can be matters on
Yes,
that for
exactly. Yes.
response.
See, other
Mhm.
than 200,
Mm.
even 204 also you can only justify if your customer says okay, right? Because see,
Okay.
sometimes what happens is you will be testing your API. Let's say you have an API and you are testing an API, and you that API actually you're using to get the user's credit card details, for example. Okay. Now you hit that API, you get the user's credit card details, but let's say user name is not coming, but my function is satisfied, right? I'm getting the credit card details. So sometimes when this happens with 204, right? Because when you are not getting the name, you might get 204, right? The total response you didn't get. You only got the credit card details. But what will happen, since our main objective is credit card details with that API, I can justify saying, okay, 204 is also a success. But that's an exceptional case, right? So
Yeah.
generally 200 is what we see. Other than 200, whatever will come, those all will go into the error bucket. Clear, all of you?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, got it.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
regarding SSL,
Hmm.
so every application follows the different SL. Sorry.
Yeah, since all of you are speaking about SSL now, let me give you an
Yeah,
interesting
SSL.
story, okay? That will clear your doubt regarding SSL. Now, though for those who are new to SSL, SSL is an encryption which you do, okay, in websites to make it secure. So generally in every website you will see this connection is secure. Seen it before, all of you,
Yes.
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
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 And if you go to the app, go to the URL also, you will see HTTPS, right? Now, what is this HTTPS? See, HTTP is non-SSL. HTTPS is SSL. Okay. So, what is
Secure.
SSL or what is encryption in very simple words? Let me explain you. Again, I will take Ankit. Okay, and let's say Ramya. Okay, Ankit is sitting in India. Ramya is sitting in like let's say US. Okay. Now, let's say Ankit wants to send a briefcase to Ramya. Okay, and he hands it over to like let's say Hari. Hari is the carrier. Okay. Now, but Ankit is actually not like he's not believing Hari that much because he might open the thing. Maybe let's say it's gold inside this briefcase. Okay. So he's not believing Hari that much that he might open it and steal the gold, maybe. Right. So what he will do, what Ankit will do, he will lock it. Right. Let's say we are talking about like some 1,000 years back. Okay, when we don't have this electronics technology and all this. Okay, let's assume that way. So he will put a lock and give it to Hari. Now Hari will hand it over to Ramya. But what problem Ramya will face?
He
To open the
Ramya
lock.
don't have the
Yeah,
logo.
so where is the key, right? Ramya doesn't have
Yeah.
the key. Now how will Ramya open the briefcase, right? Now this is a problem, right? We need to solve. So what Ramya will do, right? She will put one more lock to the briefcase. Now there are two locks and send it to Hari to Ankit. Now Ankit, what he will do? He got the briefcase with two locks. He will open his lock and send it back. Now can Ramya open it?
Yes.
Yes.
Right? Because it's her lock now. She has the key. And in this whole journey, is my briefcase safe now?
Yes.
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 Right? So this is the technology of encryption also. Okay, it is very simple. So this thing, what we saw, we can apply to the encryption technology, any encryption technology. Okay, so we have two keys called private key and the public key. So one is private and the public. Public key you can consider it as the lock. Private key you can consider it as the key in our example. Okay, what will happen now? Take the example of WhatsApp message. Ankit is sending a WhatsApp message to Ramya. Is encrypted, okay, or like safe, secured. So when this message is going, if it is not safe, I mean, like if it is not encrypted, someone in between can proxy it and read all these messages. Okay, but what will happen now when Ankit is sending the message? My public key will get added to this. Okay, means it will scramble the message somehow. Okay, now if someone tries to access it also, he has to use private key to unscramble it, which he doesn't has, because the private key is actually with Ankit only. So what will happen? The message will reach here. Ramya will add her public key to it. Message will go back. Then Ankit will apply his private key. Message will come back. Ramya will apply her private key and she will get the message. So do you understand now your WhatsApp messages are traveling 3 times without your knowing? Hello, all of you,
Yes, yes.
Yes.
right? So is this like something new which you got now, right? What is an encryption? Did you think like your messages are always traveling like only one way? No, they are going to and fro, right? To make it encrypted or to make it secure. Now, do you think the response time will be same in both secured and non-secured?
No. Response time
No,
will
it will be
increase.
higher, right? Because
Yeah. Yeah.
that's the trade-off we do for that safety, right? Because the time will increase surely for that message to come and I'm opening it because it's traveling to and fro, right? That will happen. Clear all of you what is encryption? Now the same thing happens with SSL also. Again, all the encryptions, credit card encryptions, SSL encryption, all of them work on this principle, public key, private key principle. Only thing is protocols are different. For SSL, it is HTTP protocol. For WhatsApp and all, they will use different WebSocket sort of protocol. There we have WS and WSS. Here HTTP and HTTPS. So, but all of them follow the same principle. So that's what you will see here. If you go here and you see this connection is secure, right? If you click on that, you will see certificate is valid. Are you seeing two keys? You are seeing public key, right? Are you seeing? And where my private key will be there, it will be already there in my machine, which will authenticate it, whether it is coming from a valid source or not. Okay, right. Anyways, not that much important. You can just go through the recording again. You will get whatever I explained. Okay. Yeah. Any doubts, anyone till now?
So do we know the concept of like private and public keys for
Yeah,
JMeter
so
and for
again, see,
like
one thing you need to remember, this thing is handled by machines, right? We don't do anything
yeah,
manually,
yeah,
like
yeah.
private key generation, public key generation. All these generations, actually, there are softwares in the background which will do that. Okay, we don't
But
do
like
anything.
for
But yeah,
but for scripting, for correlation,
yes,
so we know the concept of private and
exactly.
public keys.
Right, right. That is very important. So that's where in scripting also you need to understand this private key, public key, so that you can record a script. Especially if you want to record an SSL based application, you need to know how you handle this. Okay, that we will see. Okay, in JMeter, how you handle it. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a challenge. Yes, that's a challenge, and we will resolve. We will solve it. Especially when you're recording an HTTPS application or where you have an SSL, it's a different approach altogether. Where we how we record in JMeter or how we script in JMeter. It's a very minute change or very easy step which you need to follow, which we will see clearly what it is.
So like for all, will you teach us creating a script for all the protocols or for some specific protocols only?
Yeah, so I will be going through the most important ones like FTP, JDBC, HTTP, right? But if you see, there are a lot of protocols, around 20, 25 protocols actually in JMeter you can do, but which is not that much required, right? But which are very common ones, we will go through all those.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually I wanted to go through JMeter 2 today, but I think yeah, unexpectedly we had to spend more time on performance testing, but that's fine. Anyways, ultimately we are all here to learn, right? So whichever we don't know, better to spend time on that. Yeah, Shirish.
Yeah, I just want to ask, like, there are many tools doing the same thing, like performance testing. So, like, Load Runner is one of them, and JMeter is one of them, and there are many other tools. So,
Mm-hmm.
what's the difference? Like, apart from these are open source and like these are paid service. Load Runner is a paid one. So,
Mm-hmm.
what more specific in JMeter and other as
Mm-hmm.
compared to other tools?
So the clear answer to that is paying $1 lakh and paying zero.
So, like, if this is all about the money, then why like companies are
Not only money, Shirish,
giving
because yeah. So see, there are a lot of other factors, but money is also huge. Okay, when we speak about load runner,
Mhm.
uh, the amount of license which you have is limited again. So for example, if you buy 10,000 users license, it's a different amount. If you buy 20,000 users license, it's a different amount. When I say users, it's not the login users, but the users which you simulate, no, the amount load. Okay,
Load.
but
Hmm.
JMeter, you don't have any limit.
Yeah, that
You can
that that
hit 1 lakh
that only
users
I.
also. That is one thing. Second, CI/CD load runner is very difficult. Again, you need a license. JMeter is there all over the world for CI/CD. Okay, and developers use JMeter for unit testing. They don't use load runner. Yeah, go ahead, Shirish. Some of the points, okay, which I called out.
What about Neolog?
Neoload is also one testing tool. Actually, if you see Neoload interface, right, it will look like JMeter and LoadRunner child. Okay, so the interface. I think I getting an echo. Yeah, so Neoload is also a performance testing tool. It's paid again. I guess it's from Tricentis. I don't clearly, but yeah. So it's so, but again, they in the paid tool or like when we speak about performance testing tool, LoadRunner and JMeter are the two important players. Others are not that much. They have not captured the market that much. Okay, but again, when I speak about percentage, 60 percentage will come. If you see the applications which are being tested, will be JMeter because of the open source nature. Because see, when we speak about LoadRunner, all of this will come for only the big organizations where they have hefty budget, right, for performance. But we should not forget that there might be some projects also which they need to do performance test, but they don't want to spend a lot of money on the tool, okay, which is a very big amount of chunk, right? So yeah, so that's where the JMeter will come into picture, and JMeter is very much in par with LoadRunner because of its vast community. Because if you get any issue, there is a big community around JMeter which is ready to answer you the questions. In LoadRunner, it is obviously the paid support, right? It's a paid tool, you get the support. But JMeter, the community is so big, right? You get question to all the answers in the community itself.
So, what are the maximum users we can test in JMeter?
No limit, no limit. Only limit is your resource, right? If your CPU is hitting 100%, you need to add others and next CPU. So as you increase the users, your CPU usage will increase, right?
Okay.
Then
Yeah.
one more
Then
thing.
why then why load runner is so much, like load runner charges are so high? Why?
Because of
Only
the
this
test
is
management, right? I said in the last session, test management is easier in load runner when multiple users are running the test and you need to manage all those tests, right?
okay.
In that way,
Okay.
load runner is very good because
Test
the
management
files and
and
all
also
you, yeah,
yeah, SAP
yeah, go
maybe,
ahead.
right? SAP is one vast area right now,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
exactly.
Lodana supports SAP very well. Yeah, that's
Yeah, right. That is even JMeter
So,
also we can test SAP, not that we cannot. But yeah, it's little different way we do it.
okay.
where we can get the accurate response times in JMeter or loader?
That's a very debatable topic. See, every tool, every performance testing tool has a latency. Okay, even load runner has the latency, JMeter has a latency. So how you reduce the latency is to bring your server and your LGs as close as possible, right? In JMeter and load runner both. Okay, so latency wise is the only thing where the response time will vary. But actually, if you see load runner and JMeter, there will be no change because that's the response time, right? Ultimately, it should not change based on the tool.
Sir, what is blaze meter?
BlazeMeter is also one more tool. Okay, it's like a cloud-based performance testing tool, similar to JMeter again, but it's a cloud.
Uh, so,
Okay.
uh, so we are going to record this script through BlazeMeter or recording controller or
No,
kind of.
we will be using three techniques. Okay, one is using BlazeMeter, one is using JMeter. Basically, I will show you all the three techniques using which you can record the JMeter, and the fourth technique is will be for the mobile applications. Okay, so
So
mobile
BlazeMeter is
applications. Yeah.
incorporated with JMeter only, na?
Not JMeter. Actually, BlazeMeter, you will download a plugin. Okay, that I'll explain how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we use the JMeter to develop the scripts, and can we use the BlazeMeter to conduct the test like as we discussed,
Yes. Yeah.
load test, endurance test?
Even you can run your JMeter script in load runner if you haven't tried or whoever has tried or done load runner, right? You can run your JMeter script in load runner.
Okay. No, BlazeMeter,
Okay.
I'm talking about
Yeah,
BlazeMeter.
even
Can we
BlazeMeter. Yes.
the
Yes.
BlazeMeter to conduct the different types of testing?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So I have one question like to generate that much load also involves cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one cost to respond like the server capacity. The
Yeah.
another thing like if you have to generate like 20,000 or like million transaction in an hour or in a
Mm-hmm.
day, so that
Yeah.
also involves cost, right?
That's your CPU. The cost, right? No. Okay. What is the cost other cost you are thinking about?
When
Can you call out one?
you have to set up uh, the hardware that can handle that to generate this much load.
Yes, for the from the JMeter, if you have to hit 10 lakh users, obviously you will have to give JMeter that much resource, right? Yes,
Yes.
you will have. Yes, but obviously, see, now let's say I am able to generate 1,000 users, or like what do you think generally? Can a CPU generate 1,000 users load for a very common application? Like let's say, can it do that?
Yeah, but it depends upon the local like
Yeah. So generally, see,
configuration,
you
right?
will not test with 1 million user and all. You will never do that. Because here we are not worried about the user, but we are worried about the throughput, which you can achieve with 10 user also. That we will see. Okay, how we do that. See, it's about how many orders per second. It's not 500 users per second. Are you getting the difference, Sumit?
Yeah.
Right?
But if we
So
if
if
we
yeah.
do volume testing, like
Mhm.
to put like
Mhm.
to generate
And
a
obviously, see, if
certain
you
amount of
want to hit,
load at
okay,
a specific.
let's take a scenario where you want to hit with 1 million. Obviously, that cost will be paid by your customer only, right? Ultimately, that LG's customer will give you because he knows if you want to
Yeah.
generate 1 million user, no other like every tool, even like load runner also need LGs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So see, I said $1 lakh for load runner. It is for 10,000 users. Think about the cost. The licensing. The performance center, that is what I'm speaking about, okay? The performance center and that
Yeah.
setup, it's very costly, okay? So if you speak about 1 million users, it's I don't think
Yeah.
so. Even
I'm
Amazon will be, yeah, yeah,
yeah. I'm not comparing it with the load runner. I'm just saying like
yeah, yeah.
there are two cost
Right.
factor, right? To generate the load
Yes,
and to
I
bear
agree.
the load.
That one cost which you are speaking about is your performance testing cost, okay? The
Yes.
other cost is a continuous cost, which they are paying like every second. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so and that will be like 10-20 times of what they're spending for you. See, like for example, performance test you do with 1,000 users, but the real one will be 10,000 users, the production that we will see. Okay, performance test you don't do with 10,000 users. This point we didn't reach. I'm little jumping ahead. Maybe I'll start tomorrow with this point. See, performance what you do might be with 1,000 users, but the real will be 10,000 users in the production. Okay, so do you think the resource will be same as production and performance? No. Performance environment resource will be 1/10 of production most of the time. Sumit, getting my point? Uh, Sumit, are you there? Yeah, see, I know there are
Sorry,
few
I was
points
stopped by
which we are, yeah, getting the point, Sumit?
yeah, yeah. I got it.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
like I
Yeah,
am also jumping.
yeah.
So
Okay.
I
Yeah, yeah,
hope like
sure, sure.
these topics will cover in future.
So
Yes,
why
yes,
do we
yeah. So,
need
and as I said, like, see, some topics are what I'm covering now. I am little jumping. We will come through these topics again because it's a long 40-hour session, which I am actually trying to force to give you in 3 days as much as I can, so that everyone will get benefited, whoever is joining the sessions. But so in that process, I am actually jumping through some topics, okay, which actually, if you see the today's topic, which I took actually is a 2.5 hour, or I might need three sessions to actually complete this. But we have completed in around a 1 hour session, right? So yes, so that's
Uh,
the thing. Okay. Yeah.
I have one more
Yeah, Sumit.
question, and that's a very like
Yeah.
basic one. So
Yeah.
uh, suppose we have to run the performance test using our local machine, and we are doing it from command line,
Yeah.
and everything is closed. And let's
Yeah.
suppose there is a 16 GB RAM. Uh, so how maximum load we can generate using the local machine, based in your
We
experience?
cannot say that because it's so purely based on your application, right? See, let's say if you're testing Amazon.com order step, okay? And if you're
Mhm.
testing the Amazon.com landing page step, landing page you can hit maybe 1,000. Order step you will be able to hit only 100 because based on what thing you are hitting or what because the size of that will vary, right? And also the response time. So based on that, your local resource utilization will also be high.
So how we will decide this?
We need to run the test. So that's where we have the smoke test, right? In the smoke test, we will come to know, okay, how much we are able to test in one machine. So if we need more machine, we need to add it.
And like one thing more, like
Yeah.
you told us SLA provided by the customer. So
Yeah.
like that, let's take an example for the Amazon application. So we have landing based, then we have order based different. So like
Yeah.
user will provide us SLA for each and every
Exactly. Yes. Very
steps.
good question,
Okay.
Preeti. Though it's a very long route, which long step you thought about, but that's exactly correct. Okay. For each step, so that each step is called the transaction, right? So each step is a transaction. So for each transaction, they will give you, or you will provide. I mean, like you will find out. Okay, for each step, and using that only you will develop the workload model, and all these things will be there in the test plan. Once you have the test plan, then only you will go forward with the scripting, execution, everything. Without test plan, you don't start anything. Okay.
In this training, will we cover like how to gather the requirements and how to
Yes.
like
Yeah.
determine the SLA?
Exactly. Yeah, we will do that. We will use our own application. We will demonstrate the ways to do that, how you pick up the various graphs, do some analysis, and pick up, like, for
Load
example, see, response
profiling.
time. Yeah. Profiling we will do by the end, AppD, because profiling is not required in your planning stage as much, because
Mhm.
especially when we speak about planning, what we are speaking about is a new user, right? Actually, for a new user, you won't have that data also because it's a new application, right? But you
Yeah.
will have to do some competitor analysis from your experience. You need to pick up some things. We will see that. Okay, how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Okay, I
I
think
have
I'm crossing too much of time today. Sorry for that. Because I know few are with stand like a correct stop right at 10. So yeah, I will take quickly one more question, then we can wrap it up. We can continue tomorrow.
I have a question regarding the types of test you mentioned before.
Yeah, Nagendra. Yeah.
Can you tell me what exactly is a baseline testing and where exactly we will be doing that?
Baseline testing you will be doing before the code is deployed into performance. Okay.
Okay.
So like let's say you have a already running application. It won't happen for a new application generally. Okay. It will be for
Okay.
already running application, and they are making some upgrade to that application, some new feature or something they're adding. Okay. So you test the code. I mean, like you do a performance test, a load test before they put that new change. Okay, then after the new change is put in the performance environment, you will rerun the test, which is the performance test, to compare with the baseline. So baseline is for
Oh,
comparison. Okay. Okay, yeah, then thank you all, and thank you all for attending today's session. Tomorrow we will continue with the recording in the JMeter and all. We will see how we record in JMeter, though I wanted to start it today, but due to some extra questions and all, yeah, but that's always good. Okay, we learned a lot of new things. So tomorrow we will continue with it. We will see more hands-on on the JMeter side, how to record the various scenarios and all. We will see tomorrow. Yeah, thank you all and have a very
thank
good
you.
night and good day. Meet you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, Vishnu. Thank you.